Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
And recommendation management is address the potential impacts on residents and have an early discussion of the City of Marysville's response to the rate increase proposal. We'll go with comments from council first and then from the public, and then if the press has any questions, we'll entertain those. We have a business relationship with a consultant who specializes in utilities and rates. He's taken a quick look at publicly available information that shows that in our region, and that region includes Linda, Olivehurst, Marysville, Yuba City, Oroville, Chico, I'm probably leaving a couple out. And Marysville's water rates are, in many cases, double, and in some cases, triple the rates charged in these other communities. It is one of the more persistent and, frankly, more important problems for the city and its residents. A good portion of our city is classified as disadvantaged due to economic circumstances. And an extra $100 for water eats into grocery budgets and causes people not to water their lawn. And it's interesting, in earlier conversations I've had with water service people, and I see some of you here, and they're nice folks. Any criticism ain't personal. You learn, or you become aware of the fact that they are guaranteed a particular return on their investment and operating costs. Prices go up, and a significant number, and anybody who's been around East Marysville sees this, a significant number of residents don't water their lawn anymore. So that's activity, but they're still basically guaranteed a certain revenue number. So that means whoever is watering their lawn is paying an even higher rate. It's like a reverse tontine. Said another way, say their revenues, I don't know what it is, 8-10 million a year, whatever it is out of Marysville. If everybody else in the city quits using water service, and there's only one person left, their bill's $8 million a year. And that's an overstatement, but it's to make the point. I was interviewed earlier by one of the television stations out of Sacramento, and I characterized the proposed rate increase on these facts as an insult to the city. And it demands, at a minimum, well, today, what we're doing today, which is stating the city's position and inviting others to present their thoughts. It was a couple of years ago in meetings that we had with the folks from Cal Water that I had asked them if they could break out the Marysville numbers from the, what they do is they aggregate. Some cities stand alone. They're big enough. Marysville is combined, I think, with Willows and a couple of other smaller communities, so you really can't see the Marysville numbers. And I asked them for income statement and balance sheet numbers for the last 5 years. And I thought they were promised to me, but they never appeared. So I'll be repeating that request. And as I mentioned to the fellow who interviewed me earlier, one of of the TV stations. There's two purposes to that. One is to look at the propriety or the management of the operation, and the other is to analyze it as due diligence for a prospective purchase or alternative sources, going after alternative sources, and there are some ideas coming up about that, further than that. But, for example, and I used an example, I hope Vice Mayor Bruce Buttacavoli doesn't mind this, but Bruce's water bill, peak months during the summer, $800 a month. And I'm looking at a nice lady in the audience here, and I know she pays about $800 a month for water during the summer. Oh, and someone in the back row is saying, no more, I pay more. Okay, I get it. I get it. And it's unsustainable. We've got a disadvantaged community, pressure on budgets, significant pressure on budgets. And with everything else going up, to have 33% rolled out there casually, and I looked at their numbers. I went to Yahoo Finance, which is a reliable source for historic financial information. I looked at the 23 numbers, 22 numbers, 21 numbers, and the most recent numbers they have are the trailing 12 months. In the trailing 12 months, California Water Service Group had $1 billion in revenues and $566 million in gross profit, $200 million in bottom line profit. That $566 million is 56%. Now, I was the senior operating executive in a company that managed over $500 million. I know something about financial profiles. 56% gross margin is the profile of a software company. They make huge profits. Sometimes it's 60, 65, but it's very high gross profit margins. And we're looking at that margin for the water company. And again, they're making 20% bottom line in that trailing 12 months, and they're looking for a 33% increase. This has to be discussed. It has to be objected to. Well, I've said my piece, and I want to give everybody else a chance to speak from the council, and then we'll entertain everybody who wants to speak. Everybody who wants to speak, and we'll make room for the press.
Through the chair.
Sir.
So, first of all, I want to thank Shannon McGovern from Cal Water who contact me and be very transparent and let me know what's going on. And I've done my best to let several of my constituents know, and then I made comment the other night, and that wouldn't have happened without Cal Water's transparency in that plight right there. So thank you for that. I do have concerns of a 30+% increase as a person that just happens to own 3 different properties here in the city of Marysville. I have gotten rid of 2 lawns, and I only have 1 property that has a lawn. It is a factor. I mean, rate increases are not enjoyable, but they are becoming a little more common. I mean, PG&E just did a 22% increase last August, and that took my PG&E bill from $3,000 to $5,000. So it's kind of one of those things that, you know, as a business owner, that's difficult. That's 22% out of my profit. And I know that people that actually make business in this town, that is difficult. But people live in this town, not just have business in town. And the people that live in this town have concerns about another rate increase. I mean, many of the people have fixed incomes. Their income's not getting better unless they go work at Walmart or whatever the case is. And they're going to have to continually pay. I get it. The city of Marysville is old. I get it that there's a lot of infrastructure here in the city of Marysville. As a retired fireman, I was warned about collapsing pipes by pumping too much water on certain fires and so forth. So I get it that We still have some old pipes that are Orangeburg, Ricotta, or 100-year-old pipes and so forth. How to fix that? I don't know. I'm not a waterman. I just used to pump it. But how are we currently addressing the failures with what's currently in the coffers, I think would be a question that I would like to have answered. But just to, and I did not know the numbers before Mayor Branscombe shared them with us just a few minutes ago about the 50% profit margin that was being presented and so forth. 20%. I will admit, Mayor Branscombe is way better on numbers than as a lowly businessman like myself, but it's kind of one of those things that I look at the bottom line of what I pretty much have profit margin coming in with sales and what I have to go out with bills, and the bills are continually just getting higher and higher and higher, and profitability for business people is more difficult, but I'm also a resident in this town. Luckily, it's just me and a dog, so I don't do a lot of water. Yeah, one of my properties. But it's still one of those things that I have concern because I happen to own a business where I get a lot of constituents that come in and do nothing but complain. So much so that I don't even like socializing at my business. But it's kind of one of those things where I hear them. It's real. I got a fourplex apartment and I've asked my tenants to go be weary about the garden that I've built in the backyard for you guys because your rent's going to go up if basically going. So it's the attrition of the way it goes. I would like to know on a couple questions, and it's not Q&A between Cal Water or anybody right now. It's just council comments at this particular moment. One of the questions I'll pose here in a little bit is that Cal Water is all over the state of California. They're not just in Yuba County. They're in Butte County. They're in San Luis Obispo. They're in other parts of the state and so forth. Population per capita might influence a lot of things as to why the rates may be different over there, but when it comes to the Q&A, I got a few questions for that. For now, for opening remarks, I think that's about all I got. I appreciate the water. I appreciate it being delivered. I appreciate the amount of work that goes into sustaining it. But it was brought up to my attention a little while ago that Mayor Branscombe, and he just alluded to it again at one point a few years ago, asked for profit and loss statements of that particular of Cal Water to be able to kind of have our own analytical view of why we need to be okay with these rate increases. You just asked for that again, Mayor. So it's kind of one of those things, I don't know if we have a legal right to that. But as a businessman, I need analytical numbers before I start making decisions based upon that. So that's what I kind of want to see if we can hammer out in the very, very near future. I also understand that the Public Utilities Commission has got a couple months out before they make a decision on this, and the flyer that you guys sent in all three of my bills pretty much helped explain that, it's going to go before an administrative law judge, and that person's going to either make you adjust, accept, or deny. And that is the rationality of the situation. So we're not at that particular point right now. This is just a discussion that needed to be happening, and I'm glad we're having it. And I thank you guys for showing up, and I thank you for your transparency. So with that being said, I give up the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Can you imagine? Did you hear me? Everyone does. Sorry, folks. So I would like to ask city staff to have a conversation with Dan Bergman, who is a specialist who took care of our sewage system and our clean water for Ellis Lake, that plan. And also, the Yuba Water Agency, I recall hearing during my campaign and previous campaigns when speaking to the residents and my constituents about their concerns about the cost of water in Marysville, what we could do. The Yuba Water Agency and Charlie Matthews. I think we should have an educated conversation, and before that I really have nothing to say other than we hear you and we're very grateful you are here. And we do have 2 Yuba County supervisors that are here today as well. Thank you.
I apologize for neglecting to mention that earlier. Gentlemen. Marjorie. Councilmember Marjorie Rollins.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for coming today. I have some comments, and I think that private water companies, including Cal Water, are primarily accountable and beholden to their stockholders, not the people they serve. A private water company has a very different goals than a city does. A city wants their citizens to thrive and live in a community that we are proud of, all of us. Every 3 years, Cal Water submits a general rate case, and our water rates increase. We need to protect our residents and our businesses at all costs. This cannot continue. We can, I'm not a person to talk about myself, but I'll just kind of put it out there. When we always have had water increases, I was like, as long as there's not a water restriction, California, I water my lawn. These are my golden years. I want a green lawn, not a golden one. And so I think that's really important and plus, this makes our city more vibrant when we drive through it if you see green, and I understand some cannot afford that. And I think it'll be a disadvantage to our city. I think renters and potentially some landowners will possibly leave if we have that huge of an increase. They simply can't afford it. I had something else. Oh, and looking at my bill, I hope all of you were able to, when you looked at your water bill that I just received anyway, where it basically says that they do the median. Well, they say it's going to be $3.30 a month. Well, I never go in the median rate, and there's only 2 people that live in my house. So, out of 8 months out of the year, I pay $250 in the summer, and I don't have a huge lot. But we just can't not continue at those rates. And also, I just wanted to mention, in 2013, Cal Water proposed a 52% increase, and some of the city residents basically fought it. We filed a complaint with the CPUC, and it did come in less. So I think those are some of the actions we can take as a city. And again, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Marjorie. City Manager, Mr. Jim Shad.
To address Council Member Gilchrist's request, if Council desires, I would like to have staff and our consultants examine in detail why this difference exists. And the difference I am pointing to is the difference in cost per gallon at 2 to 3 times what our neighboring communities are paying. So I think that is something that staff and I are happy to do. And the reason why has been somewhat covered, but I'll state this. We're trying to build the Marysville economy. It's been one of my goals since I've been here. How do we make Marysville thrive? When we're trying to develop new businesses and build new residents, any difference in the water bill cost versus Linda, or Yuba City is the equivalent of an increase in rent. It's a cost that could be used to drive our economy. The difference is that money does not stay here. That money goes to shareholders and corporate salaries. It gives our neighboring communities an advantage. Makes it harder for us to develop our economy. As has been mentioned, rates are definitely higher than the adjacent communities, and we can probably hear from Cal Water folks tonight that perhaps our numbers are wrong, but or not exact, but we know that there's a huge difference in price. Once again, that difference in price is an advantage to the other communities. I will also note that those costs don't cover the cost of a new water service or increased volume water service. When a developer comes in here and needs more water service, that is an extra cost they have to pay to Cal Water to get that hookup changed. So it's not encouraging to business. So once again, if council desires and directs, my staff and I will work with Cal Water to understand what those rates are. And as a publicly traded and CPUC regulated company, I would assume Cal Water records are available. And I will enlist our legal counsel to verify that. But I intend to dig into this. That's it.
Before we go to public comment, there's just been a rough estimate. Consultant Dan Bergman, who's brilliant on utility rates. Live Oak, Gridley, Linda, Olivehurst, Yuba City, Chico, Oroville, and Marysville are compared. And I want to take a closer look at these, but I think in terms of the relationship to each other, this is a good comparison. Live Oak is about 35%. In other words, we're almost 3 times what Live Oak pays for the same amount of water. Gridley, we're about 2.2 times higher, 220% more. Not 220% of. Olivehurst, we're just shy of 2 times what's paid in Olivehurst. Yuba City, we're about 75%, maybe 60% more than what's paid in Yuba City. Chico, about 40% more than is paid in Chico. And again, I said it's these communities, Live Oak, Gridley, Linda, Olivehurst, Yuba City, Chico, Oroville, and Marysville. The 3 highest priced communities, Chico, Oroville, and Marysville, are the only ones served by Cal Water. Maybe that's just a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first speaker tonight is Rennick House.
Supervisor Rennick House, you are welcome at any meeting we have. Rennick represents the district that includes Marysville, California.
Yes, I'm Rennick House, Supervisor District 2, which covers Marysville, West Linda, and the northern part of the county up to the Butte County line. Thank you for having me, Mayor Branscombe and council members. I just wanted to come out and support your guys' rejection of this rate increase. I've already brought it to the board's attention and to the staff's attention at Yuba-Water that it's something that our community needs to work on to move forward to make equitable decisions for pricing for water services of all the people in Yuba County. So when we see other parts of the county where we're helping develop their water infrastructure, we're helping develop their sewer infrastructure and investing in ourselves, we need to continue that on with our partnership in Marysville. So I'd hope to keep that that work moving forward and have regular meetings and be able to help invest in our own county, and even though you're the city of Marysville. Somebody at our meeting brought up that Marysville sold its water rights off many years ago in the 20s, but that doesn't mean that we can't invest in water development in Northern California. We can't make regional water systems that are fair for people in our county. And as Margie was saying, there's different people that have different goals, and if we're aligned with a company that's goals are going to strip everybody of their ability to buy their groceries, we need to align with different folks. Whether it's a municipal water service or another company, that we need to evaluate the options, see what we can do, whether it's river water and building plants and buying out the Cal Water contract, whatever we need to do, we have to do something for the people of our county. So I'm here to support you fully, and if you need a letter to add to yours, to go to the CPUC, I'd love to have one drafted for you.
Thank you, Rennick. We're fortunate to be represented by you.
Thank you.
Thank you. John, did you have anything you wanted to share? Yeah. Doesn't matter. John Messick.
John Messick, Yuba County Supervisor, District 5, Chairman of the Board of the Yuba Water Agency. I want to kind of follow up what Stuart mentioned about Charlie Matthews, and then Rennick brought up as well. The Yuba Water Agency, for you guys that don't know, is paid for by Yuba County residents. The County of Yuba owns it to help with flood risk reduction and water delivery to all of Yuba County. So we do that by funding grants, but you guys would have to take it upon yourselves to come up with the plan of buying out Cal Water or merging with Linda County Water, OPED. I mean, a regionalized water system. Getting water out of the Yuba River seems like would be the best thing for Yuba County, all of Yuba County residents, to lower rates for homeowners and make sure everybody can water their lawns again. So, in the city of Marysville, but it would be Yuba Water wouldn't put forward that. You guys would have to put the plan forward, and we would help fund it. Although we would help with the planning and engineering and things like that. So
you mentioned that water the lawns. When I travel out in Linda and Olivehurst, green grass everywhere.
Yes.
And it's not the exception in East Marysville now, but it's a smaller portion of the total population of homes out there.
it's it's sad to see. I mean, I grew up going to school in Marysville and riding my bike from Hallwood into Marysville, and everybody's lawns were green, and now it's it's sad to see. And I have a family that has houses in the city of Marysville, and hearing what you guys are paying for water is just ridiculous. I mean, like Brad, he's not even buying or not even washing his hair, So I can't imagine what you guys are all paying. But anyway, as chairman of the board of the Water Agency, I know Charlie Matthews has brought that up many times. I've been in many meetings with him about just such a thing, that plan. But it would really take the city of Marysville getting together with Linda County Water and OPED and coming up with a regionalized plan. The water agency could fund the engineering and designs and things like that, and a portion of the actual construction. So I think it's worth looking into. I think it's worth the city looking into.
You're the chairman of the water agency right now?
Yes.
The 5 members of the Board of Supervisors constitute 5 of the 7 seats on the Board of Directors for the water agency. And most of your revenue is from electricity now?
Yes.
And it runs into 9 figures?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a great asset. The county took a chance when it built that facility, and we're reaping the reward all these decades later.
Yes. And so I know there's a regionalized plan for sewer in the south part of the county because that will actually protect groundwater. So that's how we can tie this to water agency funding, but it's been in the works. The water agency's involved with that, but it takes the other organizations to be involved as well, OPED and Wheatland. And so, the plan is a regionalized plan to have sewer brought all the way from Wheatland clear up into OPED's facility, and maybe be able to incorporate Linda, so they'll all have, and the city of Marysville sewer goes to Linda, correct? So it'll all be like a regionalized wastewater facility. I don't see why we couldn't do the same thing with fresh water delivery. We have a great asset. I grew up my entire life on the Yuba River. I'd rather drink the water right out of the river than out of the tap. So.
Thank you for your leadership at the Water Agency and the Board of Supervisors. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Mr. Bainan.
Welcome.
Hello. My name is Tavis Bainan.
Who?
Tavis Bainan.
David.
I am the district manager for the Marysville district. Relatively new to my position still. I think I've
Marysville district of what?
California Water Service. Yeah. So I think I've met a few of you. I wanted to come up, make sure I get my face out. We want to be as... Sorry, is that better? Yeah. So we want to be as transparent as possible with the members of the council and the community itself. I think today we're hoping to request an opportunity to come back and at least explain our process, our numbers, what we do to prepare for these rate cases, show you, kind of talk about the status of our current system, and kind of tailor to some of the information that you guys are probably looking for. So the main purpose, me coming up, we have some other members of my team that are also going to come up and try to answer some of the questions that have come up in the last 24 hours or so, just with some of the comparisons. But we would really like, and we're requesting the opportunity to come back and present to the council and share as much information as we can about our process, the system, and everything we go to prepare.
That would be welcome, and we've had that conversation before outside of a council meeting. It was a private meeting. But again, we really want to see Marysville numbers.
Right.
Right now they're buried in a number that is aggregated with some other communities.
Right.
So balance sheet, income statement at least for the last 5 years.
Okay. Well, yeah, and we'd like to individually...
And also the trailing 12 months.
Okay. Well, and we can talk through that. We'd like to meet with you and prep for it and understand what each of you will be looking for, and so we can try to address those
And again,
questions.
it was promised once before, and I don't mean to be tedious about it. But, it was promised once before, and it never showed up, and I was distracted by other things, but now we're back on it. So we'll request that respectfully and hope it shows up.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but we'll get back on track, and we'll make sure you get what you need.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Our next speaker is Kevin.
Mr. Mayor, Council.
Sir.
Kevin McCusker. I'm the Director of Government and Community Affairs for California Water Service. And so I wanted to start out by saying...
What's that job entail?
That job entails coming to meetings like this and trying to talk about a variety of issues. Oftentimes it's the intersection of infrastructure investment and how it relates to cost of service. And I was in those meetings before, and if you did not receive the information, I would be the guilty party. I know I had sent you some information. Perhaps I sent you the incorrect information for what you were looking for, but I took some notes, and I will track down and try and get you what you asked for.
Again, last 5 years, including the trailing 12 months.
Got it.
For the entire for Marysville.
Yes, I have balance sheet, income statement, 5 years trailing.
5 years plus the trailing 12 months.
Okay.
You've experienced quite an increase in financial performance in the last 12 months, too.
Well, now, I am not by nature a finance person, so I can't speak directly to the numbers that you were referencing in the beginning. They seem high to me, but I can't speak with any authority on that. I did want to clarify a couple things when you were saying that we kind of work with a revenue number. We don't get a guaranteed return. but we do get the right to recover our revenue based on our cost. And we get an approved return, but that's not a guarantee on the return. So just to backtrack a little bit, it's fairly short runway here, and to reiterate what my colleague Tavis said, we'd really like to come back on with enough time to respond to a lot of the things that you have already said, and I'm sure that are going to come from the public. So we want to have the opportunity to prepare those responses in a way that's meaningful and bring answers back. Now, people might not like the answers, but we do want to bring the answers back and be responsive to the questions that are being asked. It is difficult, and I believe we had this conversation, I believe it was Mr. Bergman was there last time. It is difficult to compare just based on bills because it's unknown, to me at least, what some of the potential expenses are. When I've looked into those in other places, what I've usually found is that the biggest driver of those differentials is not necessarily earnings as much as it is capital expenditures. And so those things can be quite different. There are some things that can be different with regard to entities that are taxed versus entities that are not taxed. There can be differences between entities that are allowed to carry large sections of unfunded employee liability and benefit liability, as opposed to entities that can't carry that kind of liability legally. So those are some of the components that go in there. So we'd like a chance to be responsive to that. We'd like a chance to talk about the investments that we've made and why they're necessary, why we believe they're prudent and necessary, and to the benefit of the public. Certainly nobody likes to pay more. This is the beginning of the process, not the end of the process. It is a proposal. It's not a decision. As somebody pointed out before, what will happen is a hearing will take place with an administrative law judge. That person will hear our proposal. That person will hear rebuttals from the advocates, the California Public Advocates Office, whose whole existence is to oppose us and to scrutinize every possible penny, not just in capital investments, but every expense line. Then there are other stakeholders who can weigh in. And then there is a proposed decision. That proposed decision, in my experience, is never what we've asked for. I'm not saying that's impossible, but in my experience, we've never gotten what we've asked for. However, there is a proposed decision about what is considered by the administrative law judge prudent and necessary. That then goes to the commission. The 5 members of the commission can either approve the proposed decision or reject it and submit.
This will matter sometime later.
Well, I'm just trying to lay out what the process is so that everybody can understand where they can intersect with the process.
We are not going to get lost in the process. So we understand it's complicated.
Okay. I was trying to keep it simple. I'm sorry for that. So we want the opportunity to come back and talk about what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to do with the idea of developing new water source, which is an investment. All of those things are necessary. The other thing I would say with regard to comparisons to areas around us and the use of water, there is what is called the Conservation as a Way of Life guidelines. That is a law on the California books. All of the regulatory underpinnings from the State Water Resources Control Board have been approved, and it requires everybody to get down to below 50 gallons per capita of indoor water.
Sir, I understand that.
Okay.
And that same protocol applies to all these other communities that are paying a fraction of what's paid here.
Right. And so
and with all of this, I think the California Water Service Group needs to recognize that we're taking as serious look as we can at all options, many of them including severing our relationship with your company.
I understand that. I'm trying to. You're talking about doing some analysis, and I'm trying to give you some factors that need to go into that analysis. Are those agencies with that lower cost of water and that higher water consumption on the road to meet those regulations, or on the road to pay the penalties that are going to be coming for those who fail to meet the regulations?
Mr. Shedd?
So I think this discussion was had last go around.
Yes.
And we understand what you're saying, but it doesn't answer the question directly as to why those neighboring providers can do it for half the price. And so are you saying that the neighboring providers are not meeting the law?
I am not saying that. I'm saying I don't have that information, and if you're going to conduct
well, that's the
analysis,
comparison I would like to see is exactly why, not guesses on why they're able to do it for less money, but specifically why factually they're able to do it for less money. And if you believe it's that they are not complying with the law or going to be complying with the law, then that needs to be shared publicly.
Oh, okay. When I heard you say that you were going to have Mr. Bergman and your staff do the analysis, I was just recommending that should be the analysis. If you're asking us to undertake that analysis, then I can bring that back and see if we can get that conducted.
I would like you to cooperate with our consultant to do a fair analysis.
We'd be happy to do that, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Through the chair.
Sir.
So I'm in process of decorum here. Have we reached the Q&A aspect, or are we still waiting? Is this still public comment?
It's still public comment.
Then I will hold my...
We've got a way to go. Oh, no, but you can ask questions.
Sir, I apologize. What was your name again?
Kevin. McCusker.
Kevin, you've obviously done this meeting a few times. I could tell. So, and I guess you kind of answered the question without being able to give an appropriate answer, without having the access or the numbers that of our neighboring water agencies and so forth. It's just a simple question, and I believe you already answered. You're not prepared to answer the question, but I'm just going to ask it anyways.
Sure.
Is that next door, south on the river, for the same amount of water that's being used at a 3/4 meter, 5,200 gallons a month, Lindell County Water is charging $36 for that, and currently we're being charged $73 for that. So, because of the fact that you may not have that exact information from our neighboring, I'm not expecting you to pull that out of your computer. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those things that, can you at least allude to why that may be? Simply put, not talking about infrastructure repair, replacement, or anything of that sort, but apples to apples, what we have tonight is that, $36 and $71 is what I'm trying to share with the people that come to my establishment and then complain about.
Brad, if I may add a little context. I live by myself, small lot on Ellis Lake. It's a nice place. The landscaping is to conserve water. No lawn stuff, but there's some plants here and there. I've never had a bill as low as $87 a month, so I don't know how, or 74, whatever this analysis is. I want to, the proportions are relevant, but I've never had a bill that low, anywhere near that low.
So Kevin, again, thank you, Mayor. One more question. I know I'm not sure whether you've seen this or not. It was made by our consultant, and I thought it was made public, and if it wasn't, then I apologize for that.
Sure.
So, in reference to the fact is, I talk about Lindell Water, but Cal Water does Chico and Orville as well. With the numbers that I see that they're currently paying, and if you have reference to be able to share with me what that is, Orville is very close to what we're currently paying. They're paying $71 as opposed to our $73 for the same gallonages a month. But Chico's paying $46 a month. Any thoughts to that you could share
Sure.
in a simple, keep it stupid,
absolutely.
simple analogy?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it simple.
Thank you.
It is by nature a fairly arcane topic, but I'll try to keep it simple, which is the revenue needs for each district are what drive the cost of water in that district. So the cost of water in Marysville, I know you're close to Chico, but the cost of water in Marysville is different than the cost of water in Chico, which is different than the cost of water in Westlake Village, which is different than the cost of water in Bakersfield. Because the expense profile, the actual cost of service on the enterprise side is different. And so the way the rates are set is different than the way power is set. Power is set regionally. If you are a California Edison customer, all California Edison customers pay the same rate. In the water world, those rates are individualized to the service area. The example I'll use is if you live in an area that has arsenic, then that arsenic has to be removed from the water. If you live in an area that does not have arsenic, you do not bear the cost of the other community where the arsenic has to be removed.
If you could take a minute and summarize your comments, there's a lot of people who want to speak.
Absolutely. So basically, I wanted to say that we welcome the opportunity to come back. I'm trying to take as many notes as I can to make sure that we're responsive. We welcome the opportunity to cooperate with the analysis that you wanted to do. I wanted to indicate a couple of things that I thought should be included in that analysis, and I'll wrap it up.
Thank you.
Question for you, sir,
Real
to
quick.
the chair. So this model you
Short
just
answer.
described to us. So what I'm hearing is if there were more residents of Marysville using the water, the Marysville rates would drop.
Yes, the per unit cost would go up if you have more customers over which you share that cost.
Then if a developer comes to town and wants to hook up with the water service, which you provide, would you expedite that request from a developer so they wouldn't have long lead times so we could get more people living here?
We are actually in the process. I believe that we're trying to set up meetings with the development community here to work through issues of whether or not there's a belief that we are not being as responsive to the development community as possible.
May I suggest you do that and you do that very quickly?
Yes, we are
Thank
working
you.
on it now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk.
Our last speaker is Susan.
Welcome.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I've been told I mumble, which is a terrible lie. My name is Susan Townsend. I have lived in East Marysville just over 20 years. And prior to fully retiring this summer, I was directing attorney of the Yuba-Sutter Legal Center for Seniors, which was at that time located in Marysville. And so I dealt a lot with seniors who had income problems and other problems during the 30-plus years I was at the center. And the increase in utilities is just one more bite, like being nibbled by ducks, at people on limited incomes, which is a large proportion of Marysville's population. It's my experience that they don't move out because they can't afford really to live elsewhere, but they cut back on a lot of things. And that's why, and one of the reasons, not the only reason, obviously, that you see a lot of people at the food banks. You see a lot of people dealing with Yuba-Sutter. It used to be called Blingers, now it's called the food bank. But there are food banks in Marysville, too, as well as Yuba City. So, in a way, Cal Water has them by the short hairs. You have to have water. You have to find a way to pay for it. And you can only reduce your use so much. One of the things that I did after moving to East Marysville was I tore out my front lawn and put in weed block and mulch and drought-resistant plants. Another part of the front lawn is just weed mulch and just to keep the grass out of there so I don't have to water it. My side yard, a third of it, I turned into a rock garden and then put more drought-resistant plants like sedges in there. My backyard doesn't get watered very much because nobody can see it. One person, live by myself, small house. I'm not using very much water, or I'm using less than I was. The water bill keeps going up, though. And that's to be expected. Costs go up. But a 33% increase over 3 years, that's not to be expected. And it's just not right. I think that's the best way to say it. I have some specific comments regarding things that were said earlier, regarding Councilmember Rollins' comment about the shareholders. And she was corrected that they don't have a guaranteed return. They have a return approved by the PUC for that particular application. However, by law, and I'm sure Mr. Borgson will correct me if I'm wrong, corporations have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders to enhance their profits as much as possible. They have no fiduciary duty to their customers or clients. It is their job to get as much for their shareholders as they can get from the PUC and still meet daily expenses. So they're not concerned about the monetary needs of their clients, or their customers. Yes, they may have, programs for low-income persons. A lot of seniors don't qualify for that because they're not quite that low income. But even so, the only restriction on what they can do, what they can charge, is the Public Utilities Commission, which supposedly is our bulwark against overcharging by utilities. It's easy to talk about the maintenance and the service and how they're going to do this and how they're going to do that, but that's not the point of this meeting, and I don't think it should be the focus of the City Council's opposition. I do think you should get a profit and loss statement, and I think you should have somebody look at it very closely because there are profit and loss statements, and there are profit and loss statements.
Susan,
I'm sure,
thank you.
Regardless of the difficulties involved, you can get a breakdown for Yuba County because they can just do about everything with computers these days. And the idea that, well, we can't really separate out Yuba County from everybody else, or Marysville, excuse me, I apologize for that. Marysville is just, it's not true.
Pardon me, I'm being very liberal with the 3-minute time allotment for each speaker. If you could wrap it up, please.
Yes, I'll wrap it up.
And please, I don't mean to be harsh.
I think if you wanted, you should get your own information from the local districts. I'm sure they have profit and loss statements. They have to keep those. If the state agency that regulates water districts can provide more information on what they, what these districts do and how they function. And I think that's about it, unless someone has some questions.
Thank you very much for being here. Very much. Madam Clerk.
We don't have any other speakers that have signed speaker cards. So, Mayor.
If there's anybody else who wants to chime in, they're welcome. If not, you're here. And here is a statement unto itself, and I appreciate that. And we appreciate you being here. And there's been conversation about the primary obligation of a company to its owners. Absolutely true. The best companies, though, have 3 constituencies that they honor all 3. And that would be the owners, the employees, and the customers. And we just have a problem here. We're going to try to work our way through it. But with the, pardon me, you mentioned that you had done all of this to reduce the water usage at your home. Did it reduce your bill very much? What kind of bill are you seeing during the summer? You're by yourself there? Yeah. Well, one person, I've never had a bill that low. I don't know how you do it. And I've done what you've done. I've got drought-resistant plants and what have you. Thank you. Let's see. Jim, anything final to say? Oh, before that, Jim had, and there's been discussion of empowering management to take steps further to this meeting in line with what has been discussed here, so that I don't have to list them all out. and if we could have a motion, something to that effect. Stuart, you're good. What do you think?
I would like to make a motion to direct city staff, Mr. Jim Shadd, to put together a team of experts to look at this subject. Charlie Matthews, Dan Bergman to head this, and I hope that's all that is needed in order to make. Thank you.
And whatever other collateral activity is deemed necessary by management.
Exactly.
That's to work with Cal Water and gather the information.
As it relates to Cal Water.
As it relates to Cal Water and the rate increase.
Okay. That's just a rough start. Do we have a second?
If we're working with Cal Water, yes, I have a second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Do a roll call.
Councilmember Rollins? Yes. Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilchrist?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Petticavoli? And Mayor Branscombe?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Shedd, did you have any final words?
No, I have my direction, so we'll move forward.
That's what we need.
City Manager?
I want to thank you all for showing up. Showing up says a lot.
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor? I wanted to let the press have any questions if they had any.
No, I wanted to jump on the city manager's time, but I'd attended the CPUC meeting, and apparently Councilor Rollins also attended too. They have a 6 o'clock also webinar or session that you can also phone in and actually bring your comments. The administrative judge is there. He's leading the meeting. But according to the flyer that Cal Water sent out that details the process, I think Kevin pretty much talked about it. The next voting meeting, they usually have once a month. And so in terms of time-wise for what staff needs to do, we need to either send something tonight by 6 o'clock for the comment or wait till January 30th for the next CPUC voting meeting or on February 20th. Usually it's once a month. So if we wanted to do something and address the CPUC, we probably need to have some kind of a date.
I think it would be prudent for us to send a general statement saying we oppose this and
I think
we'll need more information.
If one of your staff could participate in the 6 o'clock meeting and send the message that they will be hearing from us, and we strongly oppose the proposed rate increase, and we'll are in active conversation with Cal Water.
I did it at the 1 o'clock one, but that was a non-official formal. If you wanted like a letter.
On behalf of the city, please convey that.
Okay.
That may be just in the form of written comment to the website.
Okay. Put on letterhead.
Anyway, we want to put this on hold as long as we can. Kevin, you had something to say?
As far as written statements go in opposition, you can file that at any time during the process. So if you want to file a letter of protest or a testimony of saying that we oppose this, that can be filed at any time. And they won't vote on this at the earliest until December. This will not come up until the earliest would be December.
Thank you. And again, any final comments from the council?
So again, I'd just like to thank you, Shannon, for reaching out and your transparency. And you caught me at a really awkward time when you called, but I'm glad I was able to talk to you for a couple minutes and then present this. I'm super stoked to see community participation coming here and just, sharing your words. It's very important to hear it from you guys just as much as it is from us. So I want to thank everybody coming. Staff, I want to thank you for the work you put into this and calling the meeting so quickly. And, I like transparency, and I believe we're going to be able to get the information that we require this time around and hopefully be more informed. We'll go from there. Thank you.
And a special thanks to the members of the Board of Supervisors who also serve on the board of the Yuba-Water Agency for your attendance. With that, this meeting's adjourned. Jill.
Mayor, Mike.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
In Marysville, where roots run deep, McNally Appliances promises to keep the best brands with a smile on its face. We service what we sell, it's a warm embrace. Competitive pricing you can't ignore. With every purchase, you'll love it more. From fridges to washers, all in a line. We install with care to make it shine. Major brands, trusted and true. McNally Appliances is here for you. Oh, Nally McNally, we're your first choice. In Marysville, we help you rejoice. We service what we sell, no need to stress. At McNally Appliances, we're simply the best. Our promise stands, we'll always be here. McNally Appliances, bringing you cheer.
McNally Appliances, 119 D Street, Marysville. McNallyAppliances.com. You've seen signs marking some of the gyms in Marysville. They're produced by Sapphire Sign Company, providing something small, large, and mobile. With decades of experience, Sapphire Signs has pioneered local production of a variety of signs, like temporary campaign-style signs, welcomes for unique events, building signage, event promotion, and vehicle customization. Need a sign? Make it a gem from Sapphire Sign Company. On the web at sapphiremarketinggroup.net. Sapphire.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties.
In Yuba County, there's a legendary diner.
Oh, it looks delicious. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Where the parking lot tells a story. A story as simple as biscuits and gravy.
The food is good. The prices are wonderful. My dad has so many friends here that come here, and it's my dad and mom have known Mary Jane and her dad before Duke.
Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, home of legendary chili, holiday pies, and generations of local residents preparing tasty, hearty food for generations of local people. Join Mary Jane and her genial associates as they serve meals you'll come back for. Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, Olivehurst.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.live, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.live, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.live, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.live.
cameras start to roll. Yuba-Sutter alive. Watch the stories unfold. Tune in on Tuesday, the news comes alive. Yuba Agency, making sure we thrive. Yuba City Council, with Marysville in view. Yuba-Sutter live. It's the truth that comes through. Tuesday, the news comes alive. Yuba Agency, making sure we thrive. Yuba City Council, with Marysville in view. Yuba-Sutter live. It's the truth that comes through. Yuba-Sutter live. It's the truth that comes through. It's the truth that comes through.